Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. I am so excited because we get to talk to a really phenomenal individual. And she is in, I think it's Rhode Island, right?
Yes, I am.
She's in Rhode Island where it's going to be cold and wet for the while and stuff. But she is also an entrepreneur, and she is what I would call a modern spiritual seeker, if for lack of a better term, I think. And so we are going to talk about stuff that you may not have heard of before, or you aren't sure what we're talking about, and we're going to try and be as simple and as honest and as clear as possible so that you get an idea that we're more than just our bodies, we're more than just here, that we have purposes and we have ideas and things. It really is important. Part of which is she's also an entrepreneur, and we're going to talk about her pillow near the end of the show. So stay with us for that part, because it really is a unique offering that she's got with the pillow, and I'm hoping you'll take advantage of it. But Alizah, right? Alizah Doolittle, correct. Alizah Doolittle. I was just thinking Alizah Doolittle, but no, it's not Doolittle. It's Josette. And then how are you, young lady?
I am doing very well, and any comparison to Audrey Hepburn is fine by me. So I love My Fair Lady and Alizah Doolittle. I'll dance all night.
If you haven't seen that movie, go see it. Go rent it. It's been around a long time, but it really was a in its day, it was a really big production.
Yeah, it actually came back on Broadway. I remember maybe like a year ago, a little less. I missed it. I really wanted to go, but yes, I was a huge fan of the videotape growing up. It was on 2 tapes. You know, there's an intermission part, and I watched it all the time, probably like 100 times between 3 and 5 years old.
Yes, and just so that people know, it used to be that you would get it on a videotape, which would be and those don't exist anymore. Neither does Blockbuster or any of that. But you get it on a tape, and there was always, sometimes it would be 2 tapes. Mm-hmm. And the first tape, and then there's an intermission, and then you go to a second. They don't even do that anymore, any of that stuff, even in the theaters or anything.
I know. And I think about that. All my favorite childhood movies were actually musicals, and they were all plays. So Oliver Twist, I also had that, and that was on 2 tapes. And but it's funny how you're right. Now we don't really, things are so different.
Exactly. Like, please, sir, may I have some more?
More? No.
More? You want more? He wants more. How could you want more? You know, and
I sing Food, Glorious Food all the time. Whenever I'm hungry, I just will break out. So
well, and I was fortunate enough when I was a kid, 20, that I got to play Lazar Wolf in Fiddler on the Roof.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was so much fun to do that, and they put a great big beard on me and all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting. You think, well, that role, I guess, like is kind of fun. You know, Tevye, on the other hand, has to really go through it a little bit.
Oh, he does, but Lazar Wolf was the butcher, and so he was one of the rich guys in town.
One who wanted to marry the daughter.
Yes,
yep.
and Tevye thought he was buying his horse. In one of the scenes.
Yes, yeah, in that little like bar scene.
Yeah, that was scene 4. It was called To Life. To Life, to life, L'chaim. And
I love your L'chaim. Very nice.
thank you. I practiced it a lot, but but it's amazing that the I'm so sad that those types of films don't exist anymore. They really didn't. Now, although I have heard that the new one, Wicked, that is out, is
Oh,
supposed to be really good.
I did see that on stage, and it is good. Um, I know people really love it, and I didn't love it that much. There are definitely I love plays, and I don't think they're all created equal. And that one was absolutely entertaining, but I can't rate it in like my top 10.
Well, and I've heard good things about the movie, which is just out.
Hmm.
So you'll have to, next time you come back on, we'll have
Yes.
to do a review.
I love that. We'll change the positive talk into like positive reviews, and we can just watch all these new movies, and that's going to change the whole flow of the podcast. But
Well, it would be it's a lot of it would be a
be
lot of fun.
entertaining.
It'd be very entertaining. And but speaking of entertaining, you are somebody that I would consider, first of all, like I said, you're an entrepreneur, but more than that, you are interested in higher learning and finding out more about the things that we are. And so let me back up a little bit. And for people who have never heard this kind of material before, I want to share a little bit with you. First of all, we are energetic beings in a physical body. Now, that means that when you die, you don't, your body does, and you continue on. And we are, like I said, we are just energy. And Einstein proved it, Tesla proved it, energy never dies. It transforms, but it never dies. So we are continuing on um, throughout time, and we don't expire. And so what we learn here, we take with us. And sometimes what we came here to do, if you listen to Neil Donald Walsh, you know who that is, I assume.
I don't.
Neil Donald Walsh wrote Conversations with God and with a bunch of other books. And one of the he did a little story. And this is I can't remember exactly the name of it, but the gist of the story is that there's a little soul in heaven. Excuse me, in heaven. And he wants to come back to earth, and he wants to learn about forgiveness.
Hmm.
And he said, "Well, I need to learn this, and but everybody in heaven is just pure love." And he said, "So who is going to volunteer to do something while I'm on earth that they need forgiveness from me for?" And a soul stepped up and said, "It's out of character for me because I'm just full of love, but I will step forward and I will be that villain for you on earth so that you can learn about forgiveness." And so they came here and they acted out the entire thing. And that's so we wanted to talk about, because this is something that you are in depth at. You've talked about it with other people. And we want to talk about forgiveness, the art of forgiveness, how,
Hmm.
and I believe you call it the three stages of forgiveness.
Yes. So I think there's also different types of forgiveness. My three stages, I believe, refers to the most common one that I think affects people all over the globe is when someone that we love or trust hurts us or betrays us. So, a family member, a beloved friend, a romantic partner, I think that that's very common. To find some anger or hatred towards someone we feel that we loved and trusted, and they have betrayed us in some sort of manner. And sometimes that's the hardest forgiveness to acquire. And that hurts us, obviously. We don't want to be walking around with any sort of adverse feelings. We are weighing ourselves down with that. And like you said, I do think that we go from life to life. And I actually believe that that's what karma is, are these experiences that we take with us into the next lives. Not necessarily I did a bad act, I did a good act. There are traumatic experiences or lessons we haven't learned. That's just my own opinion. This is all my opinion.
No,
But
and so far you're spot on.
oh,
And you know what's interesting about this whole concept
mm,
is that I've talked to, gosh, hundreds of people that are spiritually minded, and they all say the same dang thing. They don't know each other. They haven't read the same books. They haven't subscribed to the same religion, but they all say the same thing. What you just said, a lot of people say the same thing.
and it's true because I think that there is some cosmic truths. And so if you are a spiritual person and you meditate in whatever form that means to you, I think that there are many forms of meditation out there, but whatever helps you connect or commune with that other side, that spiritual realm, I think that you will find some just inherent truths that can't really be denied. So maybe that's why we all come to those same conclusions, because we can attune a little bit easier and commune with that other side.
I think you're right. And truth is truth. And it's
Yeah.
what is real and truth is truth. And while
Despite what
you
social media tells you. No.
yeah, exactly. And to find the ultimate truth for you, you do need to go inside of yourself, not from
Yeah.
anybody else, and and meditate and to contemplate, which
Mhm.
may be even a better word to use, is to contemplate why things happen and then make sense of it for you. Does that make sense?
Oh, completely. Because I do believe, like you said, in reincarnation. I do think that our souls, I kind of think of this life as a dream. It just metaphorically, so to speak. So the soul, I believe, goes around over and over and over again, attaining enlightenment, but also creating karma that therefore they have to keep repeating and learning those lessons until I do think that there are different realms, and I do believe in ultimate enlightenment, which is what I think we refer to as avatars or masters, some sort of saints or prophets. I do think there are people who can definitely become ultimate beings, so to speak, when they come back here with the sole purpose of helping others. But I think most of us are kind of just stuck going around and around until we kind of get there. Um, and I don't remember what leads me there, but I do think that basically our souls can communicate with this other realm. They know more because they've gone around and lived these lives and learned these lessons. So if we can learn how to lead with our souls, communicate with our souls, connect basically the ego consciousness and the cosmic consciousness, which I spoke about on our last podcast. For me, I believe that that's in the gut. That's where my intuition is, my sacral chakra. I just focus on my stomach. So I do a lot of breath work and intentional moving energy throughout my body to connect those two. And I think the more that I can in tune with that intuition, which, like I said, words are complicated. We can call it a spirit, we can call it soul. It doesn't really matter. I think we all can interpret what I'm saying for ourselves, whatever it means to the listeners out there to connect with. But the more we can communicate and connect those two, our brains and our astrological bodies, I think that that helps us then in tune and connect to that other side, that other realm.
Well, let me flip your brain just a little bit and say that what I believe is that since we are energetic beings
Mm.
and our energy actually is bigger than we are,
Mm.
that we leave a portion of our energy on the other side when we come here.
I
Um,
love that.
and so consequently, we've got a soul group that
Mhm.
are on the other side. Some are here, some are not. Some are, some are family members, some are maybe a relationship or whatever. And they come and they go, but they're also on the other side. So there's a whole group of people and souls that are helping to help you achieve what you wanted to achieve before you even got here. Does that make sense?
I do. And I think that they are either helping you achieve to help others, or they're helping you achieve for your selfish pursuits and desires. I don't believe in a heaven or hell. I think that there are different desires that lead our souls when we decide to come back and live another life. We either have the desire to help others or the desire to help ourselves. I know it's very simplistic, but I do think that's kind of what it boils down to. And I think that, there are a lot of people out there. If someone is listening and they have not met someone they would classify as a monster or evil, then you are very blessed. But I think most of us have encountered those people who really are just out there for themselves. They die and their souls continue that too. And I do think that we all go to this realm. And so there are plenty of, for lack of a better term, we could say self-serving maybe, souls on that other side too. So it's not just all peace and love and goodness. I don't really believe that. I think that there's a thin line between love and hate. And obviously we have to have polarity on our physical plane here. So we're always going to have good and evil, love and hate. Neither really exist, I don't believe. But I do think that this innate desire in us and free will, these are things that we take with us throughout every life that are connected to our astrological bodies, to that energy. And that's ultimately what makes us come back again too.
And that free will thing that you talk about, it can be a very positive and it can also be very negative. Because if that free will leads you down a path that is not the right path to go, hurting other people, being mean to other people, that sort of thing, then your free will is taking you into a place that you really don't want to go. But a lot of people go there because it's easier and they get angry.
They might not know.
That's
I think that's that leading with for themselves. So I think love is very complex term. And I think that we all may have different definitions of it. I think you and I have the same sort of selfless love and unconditional love and just really want to help others above ourselves. And that's why we connect so well, Kevin. And I think there's plenty of people out there like us too. But I also think there are many souls who that's not how they love. They don't have the ability to love under those terms. Love means something else to them. And I don't think necessarily that they see things the way that we do, and their purpose in life is different than ours. It's more, like I said, that self-serving. How do I promote myself and make myself happiness, which of course we know does not lead to happiness. But that's an enlightened wisdom. There's going to be plenty of people out there who listen to this who don't understand that if I'm just out there for myself and if I want money and if I want these possessions and if I need to stomp on people to get them, whatever it is, whatever promotes me and moves me forward, of course, that's going to bring me happiness. And ultimately, I think, like I said, Kevin, I think you and I know this already, that it just leads to emptiness. Happiness can really only be gained through lifting up others.
And that's why, and I don't know your background fully, but that's why when I started in the restaurant business, because the restaurant business is about serving people. And I was even a dishwasher. I felt more fulfilled than I had doing a lot of other jobs because it was pure. I was making the dishes clean for other people so that they could eat off of clean dishes. And then when I became a host and a waiter and a cook and all the other things I did, it was all by design, my own design, to be of service to people. And that's why I became a Cub Scout master and a coach and a manager, and all the things that I've done have all had a service underlying to them, because that's why I was brought here. That's why I'm here. And that's why I do this show, is to be of service to other people.
Exactly. You are contributing. And that's why I love that you brought up forgiveness, because I want to be able to contribute my 3 steps on how these souls that we, like I said, you can call them monsters or evil, and they don't have to be. They can be good-hearted folks that just betray us and hurt us. And I think that there's a lot of humans out there that struggle to find that forgiveness, to find that love again. And so I would love the opportunity to just share kind of how I've broken it down on how to really attain that forgiveness and be able to move on.
So rather than take it in the abstract, I'd like to make it kind of specific. Let me tell you a story. that involves my life,
Sure.
that has something that uh, has been for the last 15, 17 years has been very difficult for me to forgive.
Okay.
Um, when I was doing the radio the first time, my wife went to work and went to a gym. I couldn't afford both of us to go, so she went to a gym, and there was a guy there that she met that I had known for 10 years.
Mm.
His name is Tim, and he was always mean to me when we were working before. He has a mean streak in him, and his wife, original wife, who was a wonderful gal, and then his subsequent girlfriend, he was mean to them, although he had the ability to suck them in for a period of time, and they didn't recognize who he was deeply until it was too late. Well, my wife at the time um, got into a friendship with this individual, and I said, "Be very careful. He's not a good person. He's not." And she said, "Yeah, but I love him, quote unquote, like a brother." Well, apparently she believed in incest because there was a point in time when they um, got together while we were still married,
Wow.
and that ultimately led to our divorce. And I still, to this day, 15 years later, and when I think about that story, I have this special place in my heart for him and for her, and it ain't a good place. So help me with this.
Yes, absolutely. So, now where do you stand with your ex-wife today? How's the relationship? Have you moved past that? Have you found forgiveness for her? Because if not, I would like to start there.
I haven't talked to her in 15 years.
Well, and so I can understand that. I mean, that's a huge betrayal. That's a cut that is deep. So what I say is the first step is finding compassion for her. So instead of focusing on what she has done to you, or we can talk about her and Tim because you had a relationship with him too. You knew him going back also. So what I try to do, my first step is see them as a human and not as a monster or not evil or not all these terms that I've put on them, but find that compassion for them. Connect to that, whatever endears them to you, that you can see why they've made the actions that they have, whether it's, Tim had a rough childhood. There definitely are vulnerabilities for all of us. All humans suffer, right? I mean, I don't think it matters which text you read, or any sort of religion. I think that that's a pretty common theme that we all know. Once again, it's the truth, right? Life is a lot of suffering. So even people who have harmed us have suffered, and we can have compassion for them. So I think that's step number one, is find compassion and love for those who have hurt us. This can take a very long time. So to share and the same, so to open up and also be vulnerable, I was in an abusive relationship in my 20s. It lasted for 7 years. And I have, for the past decade, I am still working on step number one, finding compassion for this individual. I have recently gotten very close and have been able to see him more as a human being. And I am just starting to find that compassion for him. But it's taken me 10 years of working on it to be able to just start getting through step one. So I think, but I've forgiven other people in my life, so it is definitely doable. You can find and connect and, have that compassion again. And then I think step two is very challenging in and of itself. It is being able to think of good memories with that individual. So sometimes we can automatically think, when we're in the heat of that anger towards them and that hurt and that betrayal, we can think there were never any good times because ultimately it ended badly. So even if we laughed on this vacation, maybe we fought 2 hours later and ultimately they hurt me and it was all a waste of time. And so any sort of happy moment is connected to such negative feelings. And so I think the second step is learning how to isolate those happy moments. First, finding them is a challenge because our initial instinct is there were none. But so first we have to be able to open ourselves up to remembering what was a good 1 minute we had together? What was a chuckle that we had together? What was a pleasant moment, even if it just for a split second that occurred between the two of us? And once you start to remember some good moments, they are going to automatically lead to all the negative emotions. They are going to be connected to what happened next, whether it was in the next minute that this person then hurt you, so you were laughing and now they're angry or they're crying, or if it's, well, ultimately they hurt me in the end. Disconnecting those two is a huge challenge. But once you are able to just keep the little bit of a good moment, find those memories, find a few of them, and then play them on a loop in your head. Whenever they cross your mind in your inner little dialogue, just when you get angry or you get hurt, if you can somehow keep those little bits of good moments on a replay in your head, ultimately, you'll remember why you loved them. You'll remember, oh, that's right, they're not all bad. We did have these few little good times together. We did enjoy each other. We did have these laughs and this love. And that is what leads to step 3, forgiveness. Because what we really need to forgive is ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves for loving this person, for being vulnerable with them, for trusting them. That's what we're upset about. That's what we're hurt about. It's really nothing that we do in this life is actually about other people. It's all about our soul and forgiving ourselves and learning our lessons. It's our karma. So I think in order to give ourselves, so for you to forgive yourself for trusting your ex-wife and for loving her, you need to remember why you did. And I think the only way to do that is to really just cut out the negative and just focus on the few good times. And then ultimately, like I said, for me, that leads to forgiving myself for letting that person in. And when I've achieved that a few times, and when I get to that third step, I physically feel lighter. I physically feel the weight lift off, and I feel better physically in my physical body. And I think that many people say that like you can feel a weight lift off when you achieve certain things in life. And we don't really realize how anger weighs us down, how that lack of forgiveness, we don't know how it's impacting our bodies. But once you achieve it and you can let it go and you have forgiven yourself and you can move on, you physically will have the effects of that.
That, by the way, is wonderful, wonderful advice. And thank you for that. But even more than that, I got to tell you, because not only did we end up breaking up, it wasn't over the affair, because she never admitted to the affair, but other people around her did. And then all of our friends, we were married for 24 years. It was the best 6 months of my life. And we had, so those, that was, by the way, a joke. So anyway, but all of our friends went with her. She left my house. Her friends, our friends, were our friends, our couple friends, helped her move out. She took whatever she wanted, and I haven't seen any of those people in the same 15-year period.
Wow.
So from that standpoint, there was a point in time when I was like, everybody left and nobody loves me. But you know what? What I've come to understand is that was a necessary step. Living the bad country music song experience was the necessary step for me to get to be where I am today. Now I have no animosity towards any of those people. I choose not to be around them because but I've replaced them with
Yes.
really exciting, wonderful human beings who actually care for me, obviously much more than they did.
And
So
that's the best part, I think. When I ended my 7-year abusive relationship, when I finally was able to get out of that, I went through the people in my life and thought about all my relationships, and I ended a lot of them, a lot of friendships, a lot of family ties that I found were abusive in their own ways and unhealthy for me. And then I also was married, not for 24 years, but we were married for about 6 years. And same thing, he did have an affair. I didn't know. That's not why we got divorced. I found out after, we had already separated. And I have forgiven him. Like, he was easy to work through those 3 steps. It still took me years to do it.
Yep.
But because I think it was only 6 years that we were together, there couldn't have been that much hurt and pain. But it still took me a number of years to be able to get to step 1, 2, and 3. But I have achieved it. But same. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, but I don't think time has anything to do with it. It is, for those 6 years, or a portion of those 6 years, you were deeply committed and deeply in love to this particular individual. And just like I was for a long period of time, we had 2 kids together. We had, and all that kind of good stuff. But so don't belittle the fact that it was only 6 years and I made it 24. If it had been my choice,
Yeah,
probably would have been a lot less than 24.
well, I just want to say that, I did the same thing then, and I cut out, I then rethought about a lot of relationships. So even though the friends may have left you and that's how you felt, if they didn't love you that unconditional way that we were talking about, at the beginning of the show, about what love is to us, that selfless love, if they weren't there for you in that way to lift you up, then it's almost a blessing. Maybe it wasn't your choice and it was still hurtful and painful, but ultimately it was for your benefit.
And I will, I will tell you, there are certain signs that I received that told me from the universe. And in the beginning, we were talking about the universe and my guides and my angels and the folks that surround me that are really interested in my well-being and taking care and are interested in helping me serve as many people as possible. And do you know, I've never heard of this before, but we were married and divorced on the same day, 24 years apart.
Wow. So same.
Really?
No joke. But it was like our divorce hearings. We didn't separate on the same day we were married, but you know how the court set a certain day that you have to go and actually go for your the first court appearance, because obviously it takes a while to get divorced before the final judgment. But our initial court divorce date was our wedding anniversary.
Yeah, mine was the papers that were all signed and ready to go. I just had to go sign them.
Oh, that's so funny.
And it was the same date, May 21st,
Yeah.
which is, but 24 years apart. And that number one, I was laughing by myself in the courthouse and stuff. But that just told me that you're overthinking this and you just need to let it be. And of course, the gospel, according to Paul McCartney, says just let it be. And so
I have to ask, after your divorce, because you were with her for such a long time, I assume once the relationship was over, and of course there's mourning that is immediate, but after that, did you have a period of self-growth? Did you notice any sort of change in your mentality or your spirituality or your personality at all?
I did. Of course, this was after I did Positive Talk Radio on the radio in Seattle for a year. And so this was after that, and that show and doing that show and not being able to pay for it actually contributed to the dysfunction and made her unhappy. So I don't blame her for leaving because I wasn't bringing in a corporate salary anymore and stuff like that. But because what I learned was that we go through all these things in life, and it's up to us to determine what they mean. And if we think that they mean I'm horrible and icky and although I do have to I do have to say there was a period of time when I was very happy that I didn't own a gun.
Of course.
because I
And I can understand that. You just gave away 24 years to someone, and that level of hurt and betrayal is immense.
and which is why I'm anti-gun today.
Mhm.
Is that I think that people, my brother-in-law, got mad and took his own life, and I think that when that happens, we need to take a step back, and
And I'm so sorry to hear that about your brother-in-law. That's horrible. I have heard that statistic many times that the suicide or the main cause of death for white men between these certain ages is actually by like a gun that they own in suicide attempts. I forget the exact what, but it comes up all the time because every year they release, gun deaths um, and that is definitely a demographic, and that's what they say.
well,
It's men committing suicide, happens to be white men between these ages. I think it's like 30 to 55 or something like that.
and in
Don't
his,
quote me on this. Anyone listening, look it up yourselves because I don't really know it off the top of my head.
but I think you're right, because a couple things happened. He was 42. His wife had recently passed. She had a heart condition, and she outlived how long that they thought she would live by like 15 years. So
Wow.
instead of looking at that as a blessing that he got to be with her that much longer, he decided that he was going to go date 20 something, thinking he's 42, thinking that he was still attractive as a 20 something, and he wasn't. So she took some money from him, and then he had problems at work, and then his dad. So it was a big mess. And then he got so angry one day that he just took his own life. And that happens a lot, because he didn't see the value of where he could go. And now I'm 67, and so he's been gone 25 years, and now I look at it from the standpoint of, look at all the things he missed by not being able to be here.
Well, and all the people he could have helped.
Yes,
So,
and loved.
yes, I mean, my own survival tactic since I was in single digits, since I was a very little girl, I had somewhat of a tumultuous upbringing, we can say, still very blessed and, feel very fortunate in a lot of ways. But I do have this chemical imbalance. I think that's hereditary. Depression runs in my family. And I would have bouts of suicidal ideation throughout my life. But what always kept me going, like I said, even from single digit age, was knowing that I am here to help people. And if I'm not here, that's one less person to help people. And so that's always been my survival and what's kept me here on the planet to keep going through any sort of adversity.
And that is, understanding that can change everything if you
Mm.
recognize why you're here, and you understood it from a very young age. That's a little unusual, but at the same time, it is really your your soul, your spirit, your intuition all told you those things because they knew what kind of value you were going to bring to the world. And suicide is not an answer for anything.
Talk about
Uh,
karma.
boy, no kidding. And it's not good for the, because I've witnessed a couple in my life, and one destroyed an entire family.
I'm
And
sorry.
and so those sorts of things, even if you don't want to talk to people, particular people again, forgiveness for yourself and for them can be a very positive thing for you, not for them.
Yes. And even if someone in your family unfortunately does commit suicide, and of course you're going to have anger towards them, instead of letting it tear apart the family, start working towards that forgiveness because that's what ultimately leads to the letting go and finding that love and inner peace again, becoming whole again inside. Um, because there are, like I said, that's a form of betrayal too, leaving someone, choosing to leave your physical body. Um, that's also a very deep cut.
It is, and it's not productive for you, your soul, for the people around you. And so if you're thinking about it, okay, I've got a number for you. If you are in the state of depression, which I think that's the 51st state. But if you're in the state of depression, there's a number 988. give it a call. It's a national hotline, and they will get you in touch with the appropriate people that can help you get out of the state that you're in. Don't just sit there, especially during the holidays. Make sure that you have the opportunity to go do that. 988 is the number, and you can get some help.
And also go outside. Just breathing the fresh air or looking at some sort of scenery in nature. So whether that's the beach, the ocean, looking at trees, looking at a mountain, looking at the stars. I find that remembering how insignificant and small I personally am always helps me feel better. It makes my problems seem insignificant and small as well. So just get outside. I think the fresh air, sunlight, that really contributes to that mental state and helping us all feel better and heal. But also looking at nature surrounding us, I think is also very healing for the soul.
Very much so. And if I could be so bold to suggest that if you go outside and you find a big tree, like in the Northwest, we have evergreen trees
Mm.
that are all over the place, and some of them are very, very big. And I want you to go and put your hands on the trunk of the tree and be still. You
Mm.
will feel the vibration and the life coming out of that tree. And that will tell you and reinforce the fact that we are all one, that everything is alive and vibrant and our earth. And then just look around and see what beauty surrounds you. It is really is a remarkable thing if you just take the time, but we're so busy and we got to go do this and we got to go do soccer and we got to go do, all the other things. Take the time, even if it's 5 minutes.
And honestly, when we are in that depressed state, and to call that hotline, and when we're feeling that sort of way, yes, human connection is wonderful. Calling the hotline is, of course, recommended and will help. But it's also remembering that a lot of our problems, um, they kind of dissipate with time. Just give it a couple more days and you'll see that it's not as filled with despair in the overwhelming moment. And a lot of our problems are really insignificant. I know that we have a society that puts a lot of pressure on ourselves. So we make materialistic things of utmost importance. So we need money to pay our bills, and that's a huge stressor in this world. Losing someone we love is a huge stressor in this world. There are definitely hardships, but if you are focused more on the soul and the astrological body and maintaining that inner peace and love, then you are granted the wonderful peace that comes with that of knowing it will be okay, it will work out, and that those things don't actually really matter because they just don't. I know that it's hard when you can't pay your bills, but everything will always be okay.
And you are absolutely right. And it's going to be fine. And it's it's easy. Somebody's in our audience going, "Oh, that's easy for you to say. You don't." But we've all had issues uh, going from when we were kids and how we were treated and so forth and so on. So it's time to get over it and really value the creativity and the things that we can do. One of which is if you have trouble sleeping.
What a segue.
I thought you'd like that. If you have trouble sleeping, I know of a great pillow that you should get. It's called the Spherehead pillow, and Alizah Josette is the founder of it, and she uses it herself. Obviously, that's why she
Thank
invented it.
you.
And so, tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So yes, I whole new topic. Yes, I did.
Sleep is an important aspect of mental health and physical health as well.
Oh, it's so true. And that's what caused me to invent the pillow because I wasn't sleeping well. My neck muscles go into spasm. And so I had constant migraines and I struggled for about 8 years and it impacted my entire personality. and how I focused at work, how I interacted with others, most importantly, how I could manage stress, and yeah, that chemical balance in my brain. So eventually, yes, out of desperation, I invented a pillow for myself, and it is a very unique design. It is hard to describe, but I will just probably send people to save time. We'll just send people to the website if they're interested. You can check it out there because there is nothing similar on the market. It's for back and side sleepers. It maintains spine alignment and keep neck muscles relaxed while in use. And it's been helping a lot of people. It's been on the market for just over 6 months now. And I hear feedback every day about the people that it is helping. And so that makes me feel great. I now no longer have fear and insecurities about it because now we're in the hundreds, and I know that it's helped hundreds of people get out of pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, lower back pain, hip pain. The Spherehead pillow is really making a difference in these individuals' lives. So I feel very blessed to have made the leap into being an entrepreneur, as stressful as it is. Those at home saying that we don't know about that financial stress, open a small business. It's a challenge.
You'll find out, boy, won't you?
Right?
Um, but the cool thing is that remember that what was it, that old saying that the neck bone's connected to the high bone
Yes.
and that one. It is so true, and everything starts at the base of the head. That's where the neck begins. That's where all of your nerve endings that go back and forth to your brain, both directions, they all go through that tiny little space that would be your neck. And if your neck is out of alignment and not feeling right, that can throw off. That's why you were saying hip pain and knee pain. And because, you might not have a knee problem, but you may feel like you do because your hip is out of alignment, or your
Right.
something in your neck or in your upper back or lower back. So I would give it a try. And if you go to Sphereheadpillow.com. I'm surprised that was even available because there must be tons of Sphereheads wandering around. But Sphereheadpillow.com, and you can find out all the information and you can order it. And by the way, if you're a chiropractor or a doctor, you can recommend that. And she's got a little affiliate program that you can join and stuff like that. So, but that is what you are doing for service.
Yes, absolutely. And just knowing that I am helping people. So, not in all the ways that I want to yet. I do want to open my manufacturing plant so I can give jobs as well. And I do want to be able to eventually make some money so I can donate money to the charities that mean something to me. So, these last two goals are forthcoming hopefully soon. But right now, I try to keep the pillow as affordable as possible, and so I'm trying to get that to help people. So the product itself is helping others. And then I am hoping that these next two goals will follow through.
They will. They will, because
Yeah.
and you've heard of the law of attraction, and you're going to attract great wealth because of your motivation for that wealth and what you intend to do with it.
So I do believe that. I think that being an entrepreneur is incredibly stressful, and it has a lot of challenges that come along with it. But I do believe that as long as my intentions stay pure and I work my butt off and I don't give up and I keep striving and making it every day and doing everything I can to make it successful, that I will achieve these goals. Because I agree with you. I think that yes, the law of attraction, absolutely. But ultimately, I think that this other realm that we are talking about, these souls. So I thought about that a little bit. Why do I feel good when I pray to the lineage of gurus that I align with? Why do I feel that people who I know who have crossed over are helping me, or watching over me, have a helping? Like, why are they invested in in this plane at all, in this physical plane? And I believe that they are. I do believe that in the soul, when we go on, like I said, I think you have free will and you have desire. And I think desire ultimately is one for all, like we all thrive or perish together, or individual. I think the ego goes with us in terms of that free will. That's why I think there are these individual souls in this realm. I don't think we all just merge and combine. I do think that we are all connected, though, in that way, where I am a believer of, yes, all for one. We are all going to thrive or perish together. And I think that's what the souls on this other realm, why they contribute and why they try to do what they can to help us here in the physical plane, because it impacts them as well, because we are all connected in this way. And for us in the physical plane, I think we really need to remember that as well, that philosophy, it can't really be, and I know that there are people out there, so I shouldn't say it can't be. Definitely people believe, in I'm for myself. Personally, I do believe it is the all for one. So I think the globe is very small, and I think that we are all going to figure out how to keep living on this planet and interacting with each other, or we're all just going to destroy ourselves and each other. So,
Well, in that second part, I hope you're wrong, because I think the first part is, and I would say it. There are two books that I want to recommend here, real quick. One is Conversations with God, because in that book, Neil Donald Walsh says we are all one. We are all connected to each other, regardless of sex, race, sexual orientation, all that stuff. We're all connected. We are all the same energy, and that energy comes from the other side. And then Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton, because you haven't read that book yet, but you're talking directly from the pages of that book. Did you know that?
So I do read a lot of spiritual books, and I find that I have certain beliefs as of today, because I am always evolving, but there are definitely conclusions that I have reached or beliefs that I have formed throughout my own intuition and contemplation, that then I read in pages of ancient texts that are in Sanskrit, written 4,000 years ago. So I'm not surprised to hear that, because actually it seems now I'm at the point where every book I pick up definitely says exactly what I've kind of already come to conclusions about myself. But like I said, I'm always evolving, so I'm sure I'll reread these books down the line and see other things in them too. But I don't find that as surprising.
The cool thing is that what you are doing now is you are experiencing a knowing, and not a belief, not a wishing. It's a knowing. You know that this is for you, and it can be a little bit different for everybody, but for you, this is what you know is going to be happen, and it also allows you the ability to help other people, because of the knowing that you have, which is really cool, don't you think?
Yes, I'm reading a book right now where this gentleman, Paul Burton, he was a journalist in England in the early 1900s. And I think he wrote this book around 1950. It's The Secret Life of India, I think it's called. And I'm over 200 pages in, so I should really know the name better. But basically, he travels to India with a very scientific mind, and talks to different sages and yogis and rishis. And he's just trying to determine what is actually spirituality. And I don't remember why I just brought this up. Something you just said triggered it in me.
The fact that you have a knowing.
Oh, right. So that's kind of what he's going through to find out how he can know things with his scientific mind that are not scientifically proven, but he wants the proof of them. And he does say, this is what it was. So he does say in the book that there are some, we'll just say that we'll just call them yogis, sages, it doesn't matter. So some saints that find this knowing, this enlightenment, and they keep it to themselves. They hide away in caves in the Himalayas or in jungles. And then there's other people who attain this knowing, this enlightenment, and they want to share it freely with others. And I definitely fall in that second category. I really would love any sort of contemplations that I have or enlightenment that I am working towards achieving. That's why I want to share my steps for forgiveness, because I think that it could help people. I don't want to keep it all to myself if it can help serve someone else. And regarding your divorce, you said to me last time we were on this show that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And initially I had a really hard time with that because I was thinking about the abusive relationship I was in. But I've recently realized a little bit that was for me in that. And I was just wondering, I'm sure you've come to that same conclusion with your 24-year relationship, your children, and I'm sure you found how that was for you in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I would not be where I am today doing what I'm doing had it not been for that circumstance and others. But
Mhm.
it came along at the right time. And it's like, and I've said this on the show many times, it bears repeating. I'll say it again. And that is that I have got a group of guides on the other side and angels on the other side, and they are conspiring to help me lead my life so that the experience that I have can be instructive to other people. And based upon, because, you can't really say to somebody, well, I think you should do this if you haven't experienced it yourself. So to experience forgiveness for somebody who did what they did, and after 24 years of marriage, it takes a while. But
Yeah.
I think I'm there, because I don't. Now, does that mean that I want to go have Thanksgiving dinner with them? No, because they're not even together and stuff. And so, but at the same time, I don't hold a grudge against them. And what they did, and it's perfectly fine. And it doesn't affect me one bit, not anymore. So
Eh,
I'm
right, you've
grateful.
let it go. And that's what I find. We can have forgiveness for people. Like I found with my ex-husband, I have nothing but love and compassion for him. I wish him all the best. I have nothing negative to say. Um, but no, he's not in my life and I'm not interested in having him in my life. If he called me, I wouldn't answer the phone. I wouldn't meet him for coffee. Now, there's no ill will between us. I really do have nothing but compassion and the best wishes for him. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we need everyone in our lives.
And that's a beautiful way for us to end this. Elijah Josette, Jonette, right? Yeah.
Josette, but I like Jonette. That's very beautiful.
Josette. And and go to her website and get the pillow, sphereheadpillow.com. I want to thank you. Will you come back? I just enjoy talking to you.
I would love to. You are my favorite person to talk to, and Michelle and John as well. So yes, I'd love to come back.
Well, and we will do that. And I hope everybody has a great day. And thank you, Elijah, for being here. You've uplifted me today.
Oh, well, same. I appreciate it. I love the conversation. Thank you, Kevin.
And have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin